So my name is Joe Moran. As Farah said, I'm the Communications and Technology Director at the True Colors Fund. I've been working in the nonprofit field as a techie and communicator for a little bit over a decade. I currently work at the True Colors Fund, and our mission is twofold. First, it's to work to bring an end to gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender youth homelessness, and we do that through our 40 to None project. And also to inspire and engage everyone, but especially the straight community, in working towards equality for all. And we do that through our Give a Damn campaign. And we're a very small team, just 4 people in Midtown. So before we start, I just want to talk about what automation is. And the definition of automation, for those of you who are kind of curious about it or have never really heard of the term before, it's the technique of making an apparatus, a process, or a system operate automatically. So I know we hear a lot about marketing automation, and we're not specifically going to be talking about that tonight. We're going to just be talking about automation as a whole and how we can apply it to day-to-day tasks. So first, I want to get into some preconceived notions about what automation is and why we don't want to do it. So the first is we tend to think that it's spammy, and that's true with a lot of marketers. They love to inundate us with their messaging, and they don't think about the frequency at which it's coming at us. They get a little excited about it. The second is that it's inauthentic. So we can tell sometimes when something's being automated, and immediately we detach ourselves from it. And third is that bots are stupid, and I mean that in the literal sense. We've come a long way as far as programming is concerned, and there are a lot of bots that can do some really great things, but they're not quite a replacement for human interaction, at least not the ones that we can get our hands on. So first, I want to talk about some examples of automation fails. The first one, this happens to me all the time. I'll follow somebody on Twitter, and then I'll get one of those auto direct messages. And normally it's sending me a link to their Facebook or their LinkedIn or their website, and they're trying to sell me something, and I just ignore it. But sometimes they'll send me a question, and I think, oh, that's great. They want to start a conversation with me. So this person sent me a message, and I blurred out her face to protect her identity. She tweeted at me, "I tweet about life, inspiration, and work. What about you?" So I tweeted back, "Hey, I tweet about technology, nonprofits, and coffee." And then when I went to send message, I got this: "Your message cannot be sent to so-and-so because they do not follow you." So she didn't really think this through when she set up this automation. Next. Example number 2. I received this direct message when I followed someone. "Thank you for following me. It's great to meet you," smiley face. "Please visit my wedding photography site at blah, blah, blah." This would kind of be okay, except I know her. So the "it's great to meet you" part, I totally gave her like a Judge Judy eye roll on that one. Third example, and you all might have seen this floating around on the web because it was really funny. Domino's Pizza. So somebody, you can hit. Somebody posted a picture of a pizza, and they were really excited about it on the Domino's page. And they said, "Best pizza ever, pan pizza, smiley face. Keep up the good work, guys." And Domino's response was, "So sorry about that. Please share some additional information with us at blah, blah, blah." So obviously this bot was not up to the task of customer service on their Facebook page. But it doesn't have to be this way. All we need to do is be a little strategic and think before we set up these processes. So before we write it off completely as something that's useless, let's talk about some of the benefits of automation. First is to reduce monotony. We all have tasks that we do every day, and we do them the same way every day. There's no need to have to do that. There's no need to waste our brain power on that. We have much bigger things to handle. Second is to maintain consistency. Every day there's a new social network popping up, and we want to be everywhere, and we feel like we need to be everywhere. But if we try to be everywhere and we spread ourselves so thin and we don't have consistent messaging, it actually looks worse to have a blank page than to not be on the network at all. So automation could be used to help us maintain consistency on some of these networks. And third is to extend reach. Some of our best communicators and advocates are our employees. And if we use automation to enhance communications internally, then our message can go that much further. The ultimate goal is to have the bandwidth to build meaningful relationships. So you get all that junk out of the way, and then you can actually have one-on-one interactions with people online. The first tool we're going to talk about is called IFT, and for those of you who heard my last talk, you know my disdain for acronyms, but I actually really like this one. I think it's kind of cool. How many in here have actually heard of IFT? And how many of you have used it? Okay, so IFT stands for if this, then that. And essentially, it's a service that creates powerful connections between two different applications that normally wouldn't communicate with one another. And it uses the formula, which it calls a recipe, if this, then that. And if you are in the room and you're on a computer, you can actually go and follow along. It's www.ift.com. The building blocks of the formula or recipe are the channels, which are essentially apps. So by plugging these channels into the recipe, that's what makes the formula come to life. So let's just dive right in, and this is an example of what it's like to set up a recipe on IFT. So this is an actual screen capture. IFT is very visual and very friendly for those of us who are not developers like myself. So it just gives you the big formula right there on the screen. So if you click on this, you get a list of trigger channels. Now, as of today, there are 77. The number changes every day. Some get added, some drop off. But as of today, it's 77 different channels. Each of them have their own triggers that are available, some more than others. So we're going to start off by choosing an RSS feed trigger. So essentially, a blog post. So this trigger, we're going to go with new feed item. So then we have to pick the blog that we want the RSS trigger to pull from. And we're going to use our partner organization's website, the Human Rights Campaign. Some of you might have heard of it, and I think they actually presented here a few months ago. I'm sorry, if you could just go back for a second. If you're not familiar with RSS, to get the RSS feed on a website, very often you'll see this little orange icon. And that's what you need to right-click on and save the URL. Next. So then you copy and paste the URL into the box. So now we have the first part down. We have the this part down. And it's anytime a post shows up in this particular RSS feed on this blog. Now we need to figure out what's going to happen when a post shows up on that blog. So we're going to click on the that. Again, we're presented with channels. We are going to pick Twitter, which is not on the screen. And then when you select Twitter, you're given a list of actions that you can choose from. Like I said, these actions vary app by app. So we're going to pick post a tweet. Then you actually get to format the tweet. And really, if you've ever done a mail merge, that's all you really need to know when you set this up. So now we're going to set up the structure of what the tweet is going to look like anytime a new blog post goes up. So if we hit the little plus, we're given a list of ingredients. We're going to add ingredients to the recipe. And basically, the ingredients are the fields that you can use to plug into the post. So as you can see, it looks just like a regular mail merge if you've ever done one before. And you could also add standard text that'll show up. We know that these posts are going to be coming from HRC's blog, so I added a little via @HRC to tag them when the post goes up. Next. So now we can review the recipe. So if a post goes live on HRC's blog, then we're going to tweet about it on the Give a Damn campaign account. And that's pretty much setting up a recipe on IFT. So now, 3 things to consider now that we've gone through one just to see what it looks like. The first is frequency. So when we set up this formula, how frequently are these posts going to go up? HRC puts up a lot of posts every day. Do we want that in our feed? Do we want every single post to show up? The second is flexibility. Is there something that we can do when setting this up that may not post every post? Maybe we could filter it so that only posts with certain words will show up. Is there some way that we can control it midway? Or rather than posting directly to Twitter, maybe we can put it into a queue, like if anybody uses Buffer. Buffer is basically a queue that you could put all of your social media posts in, and it'll post them incrementally throughout the day. And third is feasibility. This task that we're looking to automate, is it realistic for it to be automated, or does it need to be done by hand? So the key is to get specific when we're doing this, not just to dive in and do whatever, but before you pull the trigger, to to make sure that it's going to do what you need it to do. So IFT can be used to maintain consistent messaging. So as I mentioned before, we can't be everywhere. And many of us have LinkedIn pages, but we don't post regularly to it. But LinkedIn is actually a great place to be seen by potential funders and donors. Lots of professionals on that website. So why not have it whenever you post something on your Facebook page that it also gets posted on your LinkedIn page? So this is basically what the trigger looks like. So anytime a link gets posted to the Facebook page, it gets posted on LinkedIn. And the great thing about this is it doesn't just post it as text with the link in the text, which drives me nuts. Because on LinkedIn and Facebook, you can have it where the link has a preview, and then you could take the URL out of the text. This, you can actually format it so that it shows up for LinkedIn. All of these different social networks have their own cultures, and they have their own way of presenting messaging. So this allows us to do that rather than just copying and pasting the same message across all of them, because then people are going to know that we're not really being authentic. You could also use IFT to work around service limitations. So as you know, with Instagram, they were bought by Facebook. And as soon as they were bought by Facebook, whenever you posted an image to Instagram and also checked off the box, also post to Twitter, it shows up on Twitter as a link now. It doesn't show up as an image. So you can actually use IFT to, when you post an image on Instagram, to also upload the image to Twitter as well as a Twitter image. And this is what it looks like. So any photo by you, post a tweet. You can actually have the caption of the photo be the message in the tweet with the URL using the ingredients. Next. So before I set this up, when I posted an image on Instagram and also asked it to post onto Twitter, this is what happened. It showed up as a link. That's really boring. That's not really eye-catching. If you set it up with IFT, it shows up here. And as you can see, it's an actual Twitter pic. So it shows up with the Twitter pic link. So nobody knows that I used IFT for this. Is this making sense? Because I'm going pretty fast. Okay, so no, that's not it. If I'm not making sense, just stop me. So IFT can also be used to keep things in sync. So if your profile picture changes on Facebook, you can also have it automatically update on Twitter. There's no reason for us to have to do that. That's stupid. So if you go to the next one, I'll show you. For the True Colors Fund, for instance, we manage 3 brands. So everything we do, we have to do 3 times. So if we want to, for instance, change our profile picture for Spirit Day, which is where everyone changes their profile picture to be purple, to show that they're anti-bullying, we have to do it 3 times to change it to the purple, and then when the campaign's over, we have to change it 3 times back. And I know it's really bad to change the color of your logo, but I just use this as an example. Thanks. You could also use IFT to archive content. So you can have it so that anytime you post on Twitter, it goes into a row in a spreadsheet on Google Drive. Sometimes it's really hard to get your data out of these social networks like Facebook. You know, they delete it after a few months. This is a great way to archive your content so that you can keep it. And basically, this is what the trigger looks like. So a new tweet by you. You can also include retweets or @replies. And then it picks the spreadsheet name. And then you can format the row using fields. So you pick all the columns. I'm going really fast because really what you have to do is get in there and play with it. I'm just kind of giving you an overview. And this is what the spreadsheet looks like in the end. So every time I send a tweet, this is what happens. And you can also use IFT to improve internal communications. So you could have it so that whenever you send a tweet with a particular hashtag, let's say you're running a campaign, your staff will get emailed with a message that says, hey, we just posted this tweet. Could you please retweet it? Because as we know, like I said earlier, sometimes our staff are our best communicators and our best brand ambassadors. So you can have it set so that anytime you post a tweet with the hashtag #WeGiveADamn, that it sends an email to this address. You format the subject, and then you format the email just like a mail merge. So this just went live. Please retweet with the link. You could also use IFT to automate the physical world. So it doesn't all have to live online. I'll show you what I mean. Is anybody here familiar with Philips Hue light bulbs? Well, basically they're light bulbs that are internet connected, so you can turn them on and off using a mobile device, or you could change the colors. So if you're having an event and you're taking live pledges, let's say, you can have the lights flicker every time a pledge comes in.
That's crazy.
Or you can have the lights change color every time a pledge comes in.
Every time a Bible and Tech NYC tweet comes out, we're going to...
Exactly. I told you we were going to geek out. So you can also have it, if you have field staff that are working outside, you can have it so that if the temperature drops below a certain amount, you could have an email automatically go out to them with tips on how to handle certain things or which resources to give out to people. Belkin also manufactures internet-connected outlets. So you can have, and this is just like kind of being lazy, but it's cool. If the current temperature rises above a certain level, you can have the outlet turn on so that the air conditioner goes on. We can't be productive if we're all sweaty pigs. If you want some inspiration and you can't really figure out how to do this thing, there's a really great gallery that you can look through, and they show you what's hot and some featured recipes. And I get lots of really great ideas from here, and it really makes you think about what you're doing and how you could be creative. Now, as with anything, IFT has its limitations. The first is that the triggers don't happen in real time. So it takes about 15 minutes. Some of them happen sooner, but on average, you have to imagine that it could take up to 15 minutes. Some channels are missing. So Pinterest doesn't have a channel on there. Google Plus doesn't have a channel on there. I know lots of people don't like it, but I think Google Plus is kind of cool. Some have more features than others, so this is a big bummer with Twitter. The only triggers that are available are the ones that you have to initiate. So you can only trigger a recipe by sending a tweet or retweeting something. You can't have a trigger for anytime somebody uses a particular hashtag or anytime somebody replies you. So it's only things that you do yourself. And you can only have one account per channel, which really sucks for us at the True Colors Fund, because now we have to create 3 different IFT accounts because we have 3 different brands that we're managing. And also channels sometimes break or disappear. For a while, Hootsuite was on the list, and it was broken, and they were talking about fixing it, and then it just vanished. It's not even there anymore. But we have to remember, it's free. So it's hard to complain when something's free, right? So now if you want to kick it up a notch, if you're using IFT and you're like a super pro at IFT and you're like, this is great, but it's not doing everything, I feel like it could do more, the next level would be to use a website called Zapier, www.zapier.com, and it actually has over 260 channels available on it, whereas IFT only has 77. And really, it looks very familiar, not as pretty as IFT, but it's much, much more powerful. So rather than the if this, then that, it's when this happens, do this. And really where the power is in the premium apps. So these apps, and there are plenty of other ones, are not available on IFT. So I know a lot of us in the nonprofit world use Salesforce, where you can have triggers to create contacts, to create leads, to create opportunities. There are plenty of there are literally thousands of combinations here. Another great thing, remember what I just said about Twitter, where IFT, you can only set up triggers that you initiate? Zapier does not work that way. Zapier has all of those, plus it has anytime there's a search mention, so you could put a value in there, a hashtag or an @reply, that anytime that happens, it sets off this formula. And to give you an example of what it looks like, so you can set a search term, and then you can actually get really, really specific with filters. So I can actually, and this is what I was talking about before with flexibility. Maybe anytime somebody uses our hashtag, I want to have an auto @reply or I want to retweet them or something. But if a lot of people are going to be doing that, I don't want to do it to everybody. I just want to do it to people with user counts that are greater than a certain number. So you can focus on people that have larger audiences and just retweet those people. So really powerful stuff. The primary limitation with Zapier is that you have to pay for it. So there is a free account, but with that free account, you only get 5 zaps So that's 5 recipes, 5 formulas. They all use different names. Again, 15-minute syncing, so it's not real time. And 100 tasks a month. So if you have something set up that has high frequency, you're gonna tap out. It's not gonna keep going throughout the rest of the month. It's gonna cut off. So there are different levels. There's $15, $49, and when you get to the 2 higher levels, the syncing happens quicker. It's 5-minute syncing, and you get phone support and stuff. So.
What is a zap? What is a task? I'm getting just the terminology.
A zap is a recipe, is a formula.
Okay.
Okay, so the formula that they all use, the if this, then that, when this happens, do this. IFT calls it a recipe, Zapier calls it a zap. Good? I know there's lots of like terminology. And this will be online too, so you could look through it.
The main issue I see with this is that how would you test something without doing stuff in real time? I mean, you don't have like a test line.
I was actually going to talk about that. No, but actually with Zapier, there is a test function at the end of each zap that you create. So you can test it before it goes live. Yeah?
Still not clear on what a task is though. So is it that many, however many queries it has to do or something? Or?
Yes, so like if you have it set so that anytime a blog post goes on HRC's site that you send a tweet, that counts as 1.
So you get
So 100 of
tasks,
those
but
across the
tasks.
board.
So like 100 times your one zap.
Yeah, 100 across the board. Yeah, not 100 each. Yeah. Clear on that? Okay, next. So don't be another blurry face. I don't want to have to use you in a future presentation as an automation fail. I bet you couldn't tell what the third one was. So how not to be a bot. So use this to supplement what you're doing. Don't use it as a replacement. It should enhance your work. It shouldn't not give you any work to do. Enable notifications. So all of these social media sites have notifications. Most of us turn them off because they get annoying. But if you are going to set up an automation, I highly recommend getting either email notifications or mobile notifications so that you know if one of your followers is interacting with you. You don't want them to be talking to you and they're not getting a response back because then they're going to know that you're bluffing. Log in and interact with people. At least once a day, just log in, have some conversations with people. And I mean this on the networks that we're not on typically. If you're on networks typically, you're going to be having conversations anyway. I'm talking about the ones that you set up automations for that you don't really want to be on, but you feel like you have to. And don't set it and forget it. Set it and check in on it. Because like I said, these things break, especially if you're using the free tools. So you don't want to just assume that it's going when it's not. And I recommend setting up test accounts, especially with IFT because you can't test things before they go live. I like to use my dog. So she has a Facebook account and a Twitter account. And nobody is going to give her any flack if she has some like weird posts that go up because she's a dog. So if you have a pet, it's just set up an account and play with it. And that's it. So any questions? You can go next. Thanks. No? It's hard to answer questions because you have to kind of play with it. It's like, and I don't know everything about it. Yeah.
Can you just give me like, I don't want to put you on the spot, but like the top 2 or 3, either zaps or recipes that you've either seen or that you found that really are kind of, have helped productivity or helped your kind of level of engagement or, on a day-to-day basis that you found not just cool,
right,
actually like really serving a function.
Yeah, well, I definitely think I had a couple of them in the presentation. One is that when certain tweets go up with a hashtag, to have it email staff. I think that that's really powerful. Not to be overused though, because then your staff's going to start ignoring all of your emails. Just do it when it really counts. And
like, by the way, the archiving stuff into a Google Doc, that actually kind of was like ding.
That's another one, yeah. And there was another, not to get like too into it, but Zapier actually has an SMS tool. So we have a gala, not a gala every year, but we have like a benefit concert. Lots of us here have galas every year. And we take mobile pledges, but we often have to go through a site. I'm sorry if anybody here works for a mobile pledge company. We usually have to go through a company and pay for anywhere from $500 to $2,000 to set up the mobile pledge system and then pay like $1 per text message. On Zapier, they actually have a service that's free to set up, and it's only 3 cents per text message. So you can actually set it up that way, and then rather than have like the mobile pledge company set up a website for you, you can have it go to a Google Doc and just have that Google Doc live on the web, and people can see all the pledges show up. So there are lots of really creative things that you can do with it and really save money. But like I said, it all really depends on what it is that you need.
Just to follow up on that, the SMS tool, does it actually allow you to take the donations via SMS?
No, this is just
strictly
pledges. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because that's like a whole other ball game, and then there's like regulations and stuff involved with that. Yeah, no, this is just for messaging. Yeah.
Do you have a client, without naming names, or an example of how you make good use of this technology?
Well, I don't have any clients because I just work at the True Colors Fund, but we test a lot of this stuff. And actually, the mobile thing was something that I was playing with in December because we were looking for a solution. The only thing, though, is it was such a big event that I didn't feel comfortable doing it. It just seemed too good to be true, so I held off on it. But I would definitely try it at a smaller event. Yeah, and the I mean, a lot of the stuff that we use is in there. So I mean, do you have anything specific?
Well, did you ever have a campaign or something that you were working on where this proved particularly effective? An initiative that you were trying to...
Nothing like really specific that I can into, yeah. Yeah?
Have you had any like massive fails of your own with automation?
Yeah, I did the HRC thing, and our Twitter feed was a hot mess. It was all their posts. So Nick fixed it. He went on and he deleted all of them. He was like, hey, why is HRC posting on our Twitter account? And then, because I forgot to turn it off. I was testing it. Nobody saw it. It was fine. But yeah, so that was a big fail. Yeah.
Have you seen or tried, Zapier becomes really interesting in terms of all the different channels they have, of people automating data going from one application to another, not just notifications?
Well, they actually today, they just tweeted me today actually, because I posted that I was going to be doing this, that they just launched a new developer platform that's going to allow anybody to integrate their app with all these other apps. And there's a lot more that people can do. They didn't get fully into it yet, but they're going to start allowing people.
That's Zapier?
Yeah, Zapier. Zapier's doing all the really cool stuff. IFT is just the really like friendly, fun one to use, but if you want to get hardcore, Zapier is the way to go. Yeah.
Do you have other tools that you use on a regular basis that either automate things or make things a lot easier for your different platforms?
Yeah, we use Hootsuite to manage all of our social media because, like I said, we have 3 brands and we have multiple accounts per brand. And also, Hootsuite's one of the only ones that allows you to post to LinkedIn pages. The other ones don't. So we use that. I don't know, Nick, what else do we use? Yeah, oh, and also, well, we use Salesforce also. So we have a lot of integrations with Salesforce. So we have an auto-syncing tool called Kazumi Sync, and that syncs our Salesforce database with all of our MailChimp lists, because that's where our email lists live. So we're able to see which of our donors are also on our email list and which lists they're on and which messages they open. So Kazumi Sync is another one that we use. Yeah.
And on Hootsuite, can you schedule tweets with images, or is that?
You can.
Tweet doesn't allow it. And
yeah, you can. We prefer, especially on Facebook, just to post directly on Facebook and use their scheduling because they don't like when you use other tools, and they won't say that, but they don't like when you use other tools. Mm-hmm. So, but we'll use Hootsuite to post images on like Google Plus and LinkedIn, and it works fine. And well, yeah, we don't really do it much, but yeah, you could also post onto Twitter. Yeah, it creates. There's like a little. I forget the service that it uses. Owly. Do they use Owly for images also, or just for links?
It uses Owly.
Uses Owly.
It's not native to Twitter. It uses Owly.
Right.
is it generated part?
It generates a link that takes you to Owly.
Right. Because that's
why this service is so great, because it makes a native picture to the platform.
Yeah.
right.
It's Owly.
Yeah, the only
Right.
scheduling. I mean, I have a scheduling tool with the brand that I work for, but for another freelance job, I've been trying to find a way to be able to upload an image and schedule it, and TweetDeck doesn't allow it. I don't know any other free services except for now Twitter has their Twitter ads platform allows you to schedule tweets with.
Yeah, TweetDeck kind of got lost when Twitter bought it.
Yeah.
You know, they really want to like limit what people are, and I don't really think they want a lot of power users on there for whatever reason. I don't know why, but yeah. Yeah. Yes.
I know with some of the scheduling, some of my big concerns about scheduling too much content far in advance is, you know, God forbid something happens, and then you do look like a bot when you forgot that you scheduled something that comes
Right.
out as either insensitive.
Like the NRA.
Right.
Yeah.
That's one example.
Right. No, but that was like a really big deal.
Yeah. And so I would just be, again, sort of that word of caution with this as well,
Yep.
that if you set up 70 different IFTT recipes or ZAPI situations, that you might forget. So I
Yep.
wonder if, I don't know, for you or if other people might set up a reminder like check my recipes or
Right.
formulas or whatever.
Yep.
So that you don't forget that you've set up this HRC to auto tweet for you.
Right. And that's why I said, you know, don't set it and forget it, set it and check in on it. Like, make it something, if it's doing all these different things for you, the least you could do is just check in every day and say, hey, is there anything I need to turn off? Yeah.
How often do the rules break because the services that you're using have somehow changed their interface?
It hasn't actually happened a whole lot for me. I haven't really experienced it. I just know that that whole Hootsuite mess happened because we use Hootsuite and I really wanted to see what we could do with it, and that wasn't working. So, but I mean, from my experience, it hasn't broken a whole lot. It's just IFT is just very limited, and Zapier costs money, so we just have to kind of figure out where our priorities are.
People using APIs, in fact, you have APIs and the service changes, doesn't the API have to change?
Yeah, it does, and that's why certain things break. I know with Twitter used to be able to do a whole lot, and then they changed their API, and a lot of stuff got cut off, and people were really upset about it because they were relying on this. So I know what happened with Twitter. It always happens with Twitter, but I know what happened with Twitter. Yep.
Sorry if you said this and I missed it, but within IF or the other, does it maintain a log of all of the individual sends? You can kind of go back and scan to look at every instance the recipe has gone out.
IFT doesn't. I don't know if Zapier does. I've never looked into that. That's a good question, though.
It does, it does.
Does it?
It's not, I don't know how super friendly it is or how far back you want to go. It does give you a log of every time something fires.
Could you hack it and make IFT ingredient its own recipe?
It is a channel.
Oh, okay.
IFT is a channel on here.
Send it to Google Docs to create that log.
I guess, oh, I don't know, because I don't know what the triggers are for IFT. Because the triggers might just be anytime a new channel appears, it sends you an email or something. I don't know if that's a trigger. I haven't checked into it. But there is a Google Glass channel. I don't know, for the Google Glass guy. Huh? Oh yeah, cool, awesome. Yeah. Oh, there's also an iOS app for IFT, but none of them are on Android.
Can you set up a trigger that you turn on as opposed to be responsive to something? For instance, we had a giant snowstorm, and we had to tell everybody through all our platforms that performance is still going on. Is there something you can pre-program that you can just turn on should you have something as opposed to going through every platform in town to give that same message?
Well, for that particular one, you could use the weather thing. So if there's going to be a snowstorm, you can have it automatically trigger that a message goes out. Ideally, you'd be able to use Hootsuite, which would send it to all of your networks, but you have to set up one for every network. But you set it up once and then that's it. But that's only, again, if you're gonna do whatever you did every time it snows. So for now, it's a lot of fun stuff to play with and think on, but I wouldn't like totally rely on it for hardcore business processes. Like, play with it and experiment and see how it can enhance your work, but like don't fully rely on this stuff, you know, to get you a paycheck, because then you're gonna yell at me and then, yeah. Anybody else?
I probably wouldn't apply to your organization, which is a little smaller, but I'm wondering if some of this automation would have, like for organizations that have fairly rigorous social media policies, you know, because they have multiple responsibilities, if the automation could wind up violating or causing some conflict with those policies in the sense that
Yeah.
so that would be something that
Yeah, that's why,
I don't even know how to begin to deal with that.
well, that's why Zapier is really great because it has the advanced filtering. So you can have it set so that anytime any of these terms are used to not trigger anything. If it's much more limited, but with Zapier you can have a ton of filtering options on there, yeah. Yep.
I know you said that if there's only one account, is it the same as Zapier, one account per platform?
Zapier you can have multiple. Yep. Zapier you could do just a lot, all the stuff you want to do on IFT you can pretty much do on Zapier. Not all, most.
I know some, CEOs or some, not everybody tweets for themselves, so.
Really?
Yeah, shocking.
Yeah.
Are there any other ones out there other than Zapier that are worth looking at?
I did some research and there wasn't really anything worth talking about yet. These are like really the two main players. There are a couple other ones out there. I don't remember the names, but they're kind of just starting up now. Yeah.
I guess a little bit of a tangential question. Have you ever experimented with the idea of human-based automation as opposed to like digital tool-based automation? Which is like a whole nother, like, it's like the other side category of the automation world, right? It's like tools that you actually use to like set up processes for you, but then like people in actual rooms and buildings that you pay a little bit more for to do these things for you.
I don't know. We should try that, Nick. That could be fun.
I was wondering how the two stack up against each other.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not anything I've ever really even thought about. I didn't think that was like a thing.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends in my place who like use Zirtual, which is like you get a virtual assistant that you keep for like a certain number of hours, and TaskRabbit, which is more task-based, and it's very quick response, and that they use that a lot.
Oh, so you mean, so there are actual real people they're doing.
But you could automate them to automate your hidden account.
Yeah, there's actually a company that does that. Anybody ever hear of Manage Flitter? It's a service that helps you basically like build your Twitter followers, and it could also link your Twitter account to Google+. It's like one of the only ones that could do it. But they have like a premium account where you can actually like, they'll have people in a room that will do like all your following and refollowing and all that stuff. Yeah.
Just to add on to what you're saying, there's an Amazon Mechanical Turk where you can hire people like by the minute.
Yeah.
Just like lots of people.
The one I know is myfriendinIndia.com. But there are call centers also like in the United States and like in every country.
I've heard of one called ODES.
Okay.
You hire an assistant.
Oh yeah, I've heard that. Anything else? No? Well, thank you. This has been fun.